The Paw Report is back on the road for this episode to visit the Wildlife Medical Clinic at the University of Illinois. Some big changes have taken place since our last interview. Coming up, we'll meet a new director and take a tour of a new ambassador residence. Stay with us.
Finding a solution for your pet's behavior problem can be confusing. Dr. Sally J. Foote helps you help your pet. Private consultation and resources are available at drsallyjfoote.com. Foote and Friends, better bond, better behavior.
Fetcher's Pet Supply on the north side of the Charleston Square, serving the EIU community since 1991. Fetcher's welcomes all pets on a leash, is open 7 days a week, and offers made in the USA food. Pet supplies for dogs, cats, reptiles, and fish. Fetcher's Pet Supply in Charleston.
The Paw Report on WEIU is supported by Rural King, America's farm and home store, livestock feed, farm equipment, pet supplies, and more. You can find your store and more information regarding Rural King at ruralking.com.
Dave's Decorating Center is a proud supporter of the Paw Report on WEIU. Dave's Decorating Center features the Mohawk Smart Strand Silk Forever Clean Carpet. Dave's Decorating Center, authorized Mohawk Color Center in Charleston.
Well, we packed up the cameras, we packed up the tripod and all the other equipment to travel once again back to the University of Illinois. And today we are on location at, well, I'm going to keep it a secret for just a minute because it is an awesome new addition to a clinic here at the U of I. Dr. Sam Sander is our guest. I'm going to let you tell the viewers about you, about this new facility, new addition, and you're relatively new to the center here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I'm new, but I'm an oldie but a goodie.
Oldie but a goodie.
So I am a veterinarian, and I did my veterinary training here at Illinois. So I actually worked in the Wildlife Medical Clinic as a student. Went on to do my specialty in zoo medicine and went on the East Coast for a number of years. And then an opportunity to come back home came up, and so I took it. And so I've been on faculty here at the University of Illinois for about 2 years, and I serve as the director for the Wildlife Medical Clinic.
And I'm gonna pick it up right there because that's where we're at, is this beautiful Wildlife Medical Clinic. For those viewers out there that aren't familiar with the facility, tell us all about it and how it kind of came to be and the goals of the facility here.
So the Wildlife Medical Clinic has been around for over 40 years, and we care for native Illinois wildlife. So pretty much anything you can put in a box and bring to us, we will happily care for it, with the exception of skunks and bats, and that's a state mandated difference because of rabies. But otherwise, if it's native from Illinois and you can get it in a box, bring it on to us, and we will care for it. Like I said, we've been around about 40 years. We are entirely student driven. So in a normal year, we have about 150 student volunteers. Most of those are veterinary students. There are a couple of undergrads as well that help out, and they are here as a part of their training. It's all volunteer, and it gives them an opportunity to do some hands-on learning. Our mission is threefold. One, to provide wildlife medical care. One is education of our volunteers, and the third is an outreach and conservation mission, which is where our ambassador building comes in. And
we're going to get to that a little bit later, but when you say all the students that work in the facility, the clinic here, so they get hands-on work on the wildlife, and my question is, I'm sure their goal is to get them back into the wildlife after they're treated here.
Absolutely. So our goal is to get every one of these animals back into the wild. That's not always possible. As you can imagine, if you can catch a lot of these animals, something's real wrong with them at that point. So we have the cards stacked against us in a lot of cases, but we fight the good fight, and every animal that we can release is a victory.
Since our last visit, we've actually done a couple of different episodes with the clinic, but since our last visit, we talked about this grand ambassador facility that was going to be constructed. We are here at the beginning of August, and we are sitting in the middle of this grandiose facility, and I want to know all about it. So from start to finish, tell us about how it came to fruition and what we're seeing behind us.
Yeah, so our ambassador program has been around for a long time, and it's our outreach, the outreach wing of our wildlife clinic. And it has grown and evolved over time, as has the diversity of the ambassadors that we have here. Most of our ambassadors have historically been patients in the wildlife medical clinic that no longer were able to thrive in the wild. For example, we have a bald eagle that stays with us. Her name is River. She's behind us, and she has a partial wing amputation. So she obviously can't fly. So she could never be released back into the wild. So she's going to stay with us until she no longer is around. You know, but as our ambassador program has grown and evolved, so too have the needs of our ambassador animals. And this is the first time in a number of years that we've been able to house all of our ambassadors under a single roof and adapt to each of their individual needs. And so we've got indoor and outdoor spacing. We've got the opportunity to protect them from the elements, but give them choices about where they want to be as well. And then we also adapt their individual enclosures to the types of perching they like and the types of, you know, whether they like to hide in boxes or be out in the open and whatnot. So,
you know, right over your left shoulder is one of our buddies that I think our viewers can see. I have met Odin, and he's watching us now. He is watching every move we make. But he is another resident, and you've got kind of a funny story about Odin. Yeah.
So Odin here has been here since 1997. So he's an old boy, and he was here when I was a veterinary student as well. And I used to work with Odin because as I said, I used to volunteer in the wildlife clinic, and one of the things I did was do the outreach programs for our clinic. So I used to work with Odin regularly, and so I came back as a veterinarian, and I was just thrilled to death that he was still here. And I came up and I was like, "Hey, Odin, how are you, buddy? Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long, and it's so great to see you." And the first thing he did was dive bomb the cage.
Oh, he wasn't so excited to see you.
I was like, I can't decide if you're not excited to see me or if you're mad that I was gone for so long. I'm going to choose the latter, but so we've had to rebuild that relationship a bit.
But you have other enclosures too. You have another red-tailed hawk.
Yep.
And
so we have Ruby, our red-tailed hawk. She came to us about a year and a half ago. She actually is healthy and can fly and can forage on her own. She chooses not to. She clearly was around humans at some point in her prior life and would much rather be around humans than out on her own. And so she was actually found begging for people for food. So she stays with us as an ambassador animal. I mentioned River, our red-tailed hawk. We also have Thistle, our American kestrel. She has an eye injury that she came to us with and is not releasable because of that. And then we have Vara, our barred owl, who also has a wing injury.
We have another ambassador that's slowly creeping into the program. Tell us about this old gal.
So this is Dell. She is our very old opossum. She came to us. She had a number of injuries, one of which was a hip injury that she had to have surgery for. And by the time she was all ready to go, she'd been in captivity for over a year. Opossums only live a couple of years, actually. And so
really?
And so she, at 2.5, is geriatric. So she is quite friendly. She'd been with somebody who was trying to care for her before she ever came to us. And so she had no idea she was an opossum. She thinks she's a cat.
Sure.
And so she wasn't going to be able to thrive in the wild. So she stays with us. She's got this adorable little face, and she is quite friendly. And so she helps us teach people. A lot of people are afraid of possums. And so she helps us teach people about how great opossums are for the environment, for their yards, and for the community around us.
We should probably introduce Colleen here. She is a student ambassador, if I'm defining her correctly. And you're also working, or she's also working in the clinic. You mentioned students are just a vital part of the facility here.
Absolutely. So Colleen is one of our 6 students who's staffing the clinic throughout the summer. And so she's been working with our ambassador animals as well as all of our clinic patients this summer.
So how, we're going to talk about how COVID has affected your facility, but before we answer that question, I'm assuming that your outreach has kind of changed a little bit. Now, that's not how it's always going to be, but outreach is so huge here.
Absolutely.
You taking animals like we're seeing here to schools, but eventually that could potentially change.
Absolutely. So this fall, at the very least, we're unable to go on any programs, and that's just for the safety of our volunteers as well as where we're going. And so we are anxious to get our program started again and to be able to go back out into the schools and to talk to the scout troops and whatnot. But for now, we're kind of grounded. We do plan on doing some outreach things online and trying to continue our conservation message as well as education through that kind of virtual platform, like a lot of places are doing right now. The goal for this facility one day is to be able to have people actually come to us, though. So we've got this beautiful facility, this excellent platform for us to be able to talk about conservation, about how people can engage in their in the natural world around them, how they can support wildlife should they come across them. And so that's one of the benefits of this facility, is to be able to continue to grow that platform and that engagement opportunity.
And how neat will it be to have students of all ages and adults to walk by these enclosures? I mean, the viewers aren't here. It's just gorgeous. It really is. And like I said, I was here before when this wasn't here, and it's just really amazing. And I'm sure you look at it and just think, wow, I was a part of this.
Yeah, no, it's been a phenomenal project to be a part of, and it means so much to the clinic, and has so much opportunity for the community that we're just really excited to be able to be a part of it and watch it all grow.
Yeah, Colleen's got another ambassador for us.
So this is Onslow.
I'm going to let you hold Onslow. Onslow has a blue tongue.
Yep.
What
So
are we
this
seeing here?
is a blue tongue skink. He's actually native to Australia, so he's not a native Illinois wildlife. He used to be somebody's pet, and he ended up through a lot of ways coming to stay with us. So he is not native to Illinois, but he does give us an opportunity to talk about skinks as well as lizards. And he's got obviously this nice flashy blue tongue, and he's much bigger than a lot of the lizards that we see in Illinois. And so he helps us, kind of discuss how Illinois species are a little bit different and how cool lizards can be. And
I have little guys like that running around my house. I hope they don't get that big, but he probably likes to eat mosquitoes and other bugs that are annoying to us.
Yeah, the lizards around your house are certainly going to be helpful to those bugs. Absolutely. Onslow here likes to eat mice, so.
Oh, well, a little more protein, I guess.
He actually eats a lot of veggies, so he'll eat a lot of the greens and whatnot and some fruits, but he will get a little bit of protein as well, but bigger than a mosquito.
Yeah. So getting back to COVID, how has COVID really kind of maybe put some bumps and potholes into maybe the drive and the mission of the clinic?
Absolutely. So COVID took us for a tailspin, just like it did everybody else. And we overnight lost our entire volunteer staff. And that's not because they didn't want to come in, but simply because it wasn't safe enough anymore. And so we have done a lot of changing of our cleaning protocols and personal protective equipment, face masks and gloves and whatnot, to make sure that we're keeping our staff as safe as possible. And we look forward to welcoming our students back in the fall when classes resume. We unfortunately had to close down for about 8 weeks because of that loss of staff, and then we needed to invest in the patients that we still had in clinic, and really just couldn't support any others with the really bare bones people we had. So that was a big hit for us and for morale, and we're really excited that we've been able to adapt to that and grow and respond and just push through despite all of those kind of stressors. So,
how important are the volunteers to you as the director, but also just to the clinic as a whole?
They're our spirit, really. It's the passion of our volunteers and of our students that keeps us going and pushes us through those tough days. They're the ones who are talking with the public, who are engaging with finders, who are really taking those animals from triage and intake to release. It provides a phenomenal learning opportunity for our students, and that's great. And as an educator, that is certainly a boost. But the passion that they bring to the program, the ideas that they bring, is so integral to our success, and we're really excited to get them back on site.
Let's talk about getting back to the importance of this facility to the community, and that is to treat your non-traditional animals, I guess, is the best way to describe it. You mentioned you don't treat bats and skunks for state rule reasons, but what are some of the other animals? So lots of birds, what about raccoons, turtles?
Absolutely. Raccoons, turtles, snakes, absolutely. Probably our most common offenders are going to be bunnies, raccoons, opossums, ducks, and then different types of birds, owls, and hawks, the occasional eagle, and then we get some weird critters as well. We get the occasional otter, we get mink, we got, we get some
Badgers or badgers around here?
we haven't seen any badgers, at least in recent times. We do get the white pelican, which people don't expect a pelican to be native to Illinois, but they do fly through here, and so we do get the occasional pelican, which is fun.
So, I'm a member of the general public, and let's say I come across something. I have to admit, I'm might be a little skittish if I come across an injured animal.
Yeah.
Maybe not a box turtle, but possum, raccoon, anything of that nature. Can you talk about the do's and don'ts? Trapping, how would somebody like me bring it in?
Absolutely. So it depends a little bit on the species, certainly. So the biggest thing is a lot of the animals that we come are babies when they come to us, and people are getting them because they think mom has abandoned the babies or they've gotten lost along the way. Some of those animals never even need to come to us. Mom is still around. It's just in her nature to hide away from what she perceives as a threat, which oftentimes is humans. So if you find a baby and animal that you are concerned mom is no longer around, we recommend you either visit our website or give us a call first so that we can help kind of guide whether or not intervention is necessary. If it is a baby and it needs help, then we can certainly kind of guide how to box that animal up and get it to us, and the best way to keep yourself and the animal safe at the same time. Let's say it's an adult, though, right? Like it's the
like
raccoon the raccoon in your woodpile, the hawk caught in your fence, something along those lines, right? Unfortunately, we don't have the resources to be able to come out and help, but we are always a phone call away, and so we can help kind of guide ways for you to get an animal into a box, or how to best protect yourself so that you know that what you're doing is going to be the least harm to the animal and the least harm to you at the same time.
Right.
There certainly are cases where people aren't comfortable handling some of those animals, in which case calling your local animal control and asking if they could potentially help, or there are also wildlife trappers that do that professionally that can potentially help get the animal secured and brought over to us if that's necessary.
I was going to ask about trapping, and I don't know the law in and out, but I think trapping is a no-no for the general public.
Yeah,
correct?
You're supposed to have the appropriate permits to do
right.
that for the most part, yeah.
Should I feed the animal? I mean, that you think, I think that's another instinct too. I'll make them feel better by giving a little snack of some sort. Should you do that, or leave it to the pros like you?
Most of the time it's not helpful. So a lot of the things that we think animals eat aren't actually what they eat. For example, a lot of people will feed bread to ducks. And ducks can get quite sick from too much bread. And it's actually not helpful or healthy for them. And we can see a lot of best intentions, but maybe not the best outcome for the animal because of inappropriate diets. And so we recommend not feeding the animal and then just getting it to us within 12 to 24 hours if you can. If that timeline isn't functional, then you can either look on the for a licensed Illinois wildlife rehabilitator. There might be somebody who's closer in your area who can help, and or give us a call and we can help kind of define, does that animal need to eat and what would that look like?
Colleen's got another ambassador for us. Who do we have here?
So this is Hazel. Hazel is our box turtle, and she came to us. She's got a bit of a story behind her. So she was found when somebody was out walking around, and they thought, hey, she is a really friendly turtle, and she might come and stay with us for a bit. And so she actually stayed with somebody in their home as a pet for a couple of years inside. And then they noticed that she just wasn't quite doing right. And so they brought her to us in hopes that we could get her back into the wild. And unfortunately, she'd been in captivity long enough that wasn't really feasible. She also had been on a bit of an inappropriate diet, and so she had some lasting effects from that. The bright side is they had certainly worked with her quite a bit, and so she is the most gregarious box turtle you've ever met in your life. And she makes herself a great ambassador. She's nice and calm in hand. She loves to say hi to everybody, and she can have a life here with us, eating a good diet, getting some time outside, and talking about why it's so important to leave box turtles alone and not bring them home with you.
We see a lot of these guys in the road. I mentioned earlier we're filming in August, but start of spring and into the first of summer, we see a lot of them on the road. Do you see a lot of turtles into the facility?
Absolutely. So we see a lot of shell fractures primarily, but we can see other injuries as well and other reasons for them to present as well. And so even really scary looking fractures sometimes can be healed. And so we do recommend if you find a turtle alive with a shell fracture, go ahead and bring it to us and we'll see what we can do. And it's amazing how strong and resilient these guys can be.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face, pretty regularly?
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably maybe because I'm not a vet, I would think fear has a little factor in it. I mean, is there ever fear that kind of overtakes you when you're working on an animal or getting an animal in, that maybe they're going to be aggressive towards you? Maybe there's some other things that you face on a regular basis that, it's a challenge.
Yeah. So fear certainly can be something, but I think we all kind of get our chutzpah up and take pride in what we do. And we train our students and have been trained ourselves on how to handle these animals safely, so that for them and for us. So it's knowing about how to work with and around these animals that really makes us successful in that way. Probably the biggest stressor that we feel as a clinic is one that people don't think about, and that's financial. And so we are super grateful and couldn't be more happy with the support that the university provides for us. They give us our space. They certainly provide us with a lot of opportunities, but most of our care, most of our finances come actually from fundraising and from the giving of the community. Our patients come in without anyone footing the bill.
Right.
And so we have to pay for food and for cleaning supplies and for the medications. Sometimes the animal just comes in and just needs a little TLC. Sometimes they need multiple surgeries, and we adapt to that, and we're not going to say no to an animal just because of the dollar bills that come with them. So we do everything we do without requiring any payment at all from the finder or from anyone who brings the animal in, but that does put a financial stress onto us that we have to figure out. The other kind of big challenge that we see as a clinic is just communication and kind of misunderstanding of what we do. Our goal is to get these animals back into the wild, and sometimes that isn't possible. And if the animal cannot be released back into the wild, a lot of times the most humane option is to euthanize that animal. And people get very upset with us sometimes when they find that the animal that they've cared for in their bathroom for 3 weeks, or that they drove several hours to bring to us, ended up being euthanized. It can be a bit of a situation where we get vilified, and really we're just trying to do the best we can for the animal. And that can be a challenging conversation to have. And while it's really great for our students to have that, to get practice having that conversation, it particularly can be hurtful to them because they're so new in their training. So,
Well, and you probably have the other side of it, people saying, why care for Odom? Why care for an animal that can no longer, possibly survive?
Yeah.
And that's part of your outreach and your mission too, is to talk about the importance of the species and wildlife.
Absolutely. Why do we care for all these bunnies? There's plenty of bunnies around.
Right.
Or, I hate possums. Why would you care for them? Or why do you care for the geese? And it's a phenomenal learning opportunity, and they're all a part of our ecosystem. And trying to share that perspective, and we don't all have to agree on the outcome, but it is trying to advocate for our own perspective and for the animals as well as our students.
Dr. Sander, we have just a minute or two to wrap up our discussion today. You talked about Odom. Any other memorable rescue stories or critters that you've worked on here that just kind of pop out?
The story that I always tell students is, and you'd mentioned fear and, kind of, we have to be ready for anything at all times, right? And so the story that I always tell students to kind of hit that marker home is, we had, when I was a student, we had somebody call and they said, hey, I've got a juvenile bald eagle and it's in a box and it's breaking out of the box and I need you to take it right away. And so I was like,
That's
okay,
scary.
let's do this, right? And so a classmate of mine got all of our gloves ready, and we were ready to take on this bald eagle, right? And we were excited and kind of scared, but excited. And
it was a sparrow.
it was an adult pigeon.
Oh, okay.
Is what it was.
Well,
But we were ready for anything, and we adapted, and that pigeon got the best care. But it was a bit of a funny story, and one that just we always got to think on our feet and adapt, and people are giving us the best information they can, and sometimes that's accurate and sometimes it's not so accurate, and we need to keep our minds open.
biggest animal?
The biggest animal that I've seen here, probably that adult pelican.
Yeah.
They get quite big. So that our bald eagles are quite big as well, but the pelican beats him certainly.
If anybody out there is watching and they want some more information, they want to know more about the clinic, you have some great resources online.
Yep, absolutely. So you can visit our website, and I can share that with you and your viewers. We also have a Facebook page that we keep quite active, and that's run by our students. So we give updates on cases as well as our personnel, species facts, all sorts of fun things for people to engage in, and try to keep things, sharing that message of conservation and giving everyone some good information at the same time.
Well, great way to leave today's episode. Dr. Sander and Colleen, who's kind of off. Come on in, Colleen. You can wave to our viewers. You need your moment of fame. Thank you so much for handling our ambassadors today and spending a few moments again with the Paw Report. We love coming to visit you folks here.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you, our viewers, for joining us for this episode of the Paw Report as we celebrate 10 years in production. Until next time, I'm your host, Kelly Goodwin.
Dave's Decorating Center is a proud supporter of the Paw Report on WEIU. Dave's Decorating Center features the Mohawk Smart Strand Silk Forever Clean Carpet. Dave's Decorating Center, authorized Mohawk Color Center in Charleston.
The Paw Report on WEIU is supported by Rural King, America's farm and home store, livestock feed, farm equipment, pet supplies, and more. You can find your store and more information regarding Rural King at ruralking.com.
Fetcher's Pet Supply on the north side of the Charleston Square, serving the EIU community since 1991. Fetcher's welcomes all pets on a leash, is open 7 days a week, and offers made in the USA food. Pet supplies for dogs, cats, reptiles, and fish. Fetcher's Pet Supply in Charleston.
Finding a solution for your pet's behavior problem can be confusing. Dr. Sally J. Foote helps you help your pet. Private consultation and resources are available at drsallyjfoote.com. Foote and Friends, better bond, better behavior.